Yes, welcome back to another Best 23 video. Today, we're going to be looking at the Richmond Tigers. And for some reason, I don't really know what it is. I always love doing the Richmond Best 23 videos or kind of just assembling their team on paper. There's some sort of weird satisfaction in me. I think I just really like some of the players that they've drafted recently. And we know that they have been through this transition period. Obviously, a new coach a couple of seasons ago, Adam Uze, coming in, and they've gone back to the draft really, really heavily after that late Damien Hardwick period where they didn't really know if they were coming or going. They went to the trade period. Now we've had two consolidated draft hauls, I guess you would say, that 2024 one being the absolute biggest of them all, where they picked up, pretty much reinvented their midfield. They got in some key position players at the back end of that as well. They've doubled down on that in 2025, picking up another two top 10 draft picks in Sam Cumming and Sam Grill, and also picking up some really, really nice role players as well. And I've just enjoyed the Richmond build overall. I think they've targeted really specific players that complement each other, and they haven't just picked best available talent necessarily, as people say. They've kind of gone after a full squad mentality and little pieces that could complement things down the track. So I really like the recruiting. I think it's really, really smart, and it brings a level of satisfaction to me in building this team. If you guys do hang around until the end, I will be offering some predictions for Richmond in 2026. I think there's a lot to like about this young side. It's all going to come down to how much they can mature in a short period of time, because I think Richmond's performances are going to ultimately come down to those younger players and how much they develop. We saw in 2025 that they probably got that biggest jump from the sort of, second to fourth year players like Seth Campbell and Banks and these types of guys. So you're probably going to start to see that 2024 crop emerge even more. And if they can get some of those guys like Lawler and Smiley physically fit, then I think anything can happen in 2026. But before we start this video, let's hear from the sponsor today. Guys, if you're not worried about your internet security, then you should be. Hackers and internet predators, probably even Essendon supporters, are all out there gunning for your private data. Just the other day, I copped one of those annoying but very predictable Australia Post messages where you click the link and it tells you that you've got a delivery to pick up. And of course, you know that you don't have a delivery. Nobody sends me anything anymore. It's clearly a trap. This technique is called phishing. And if you click on the link, you open yourself up to all sorts of nasty individuals getting their hands on your computer's innards. NordVPN swoops in and spoils these links away better than Sam Taylor does down at NG Stadium. And today you can protect yourself too with the link down in the description. You'll get 4 extra months free if you sign up to the 2-year deal. And don't forget that NordVPN has a 30-day money-back guarantee. So even if you want to opt out, you can do that as well. Click on the link below and get yourself a wonderful deal. Okay, guys, so here it is. Richmond's back line. It's been one of their strength areas. It's where they've probably got the most experience sitting in this team right now. There's a lot to talk about here. When I talk about the experience, the two guys I always think of are Broad and Vlosten. They're those two sort of medium hybrid type defenders, the guys that ultimately just do such a good job year in, year out at locking down their opponents. Vlosten also offers that real sort of shield across the back of defense. He takes a lot of intercept marks and really creates Richmond's drive. He gives it to guys like Banks and Jaden Short who run the ball out of defense. So they're going to be super important. Again, they don't really have to elevate themselves or do anything different to what they've been doing up until this point, but it's such a bonus and such a good sense of leadership in this Richmond backline that they've got that there. Now, the two guys that I probably worry about the most and are the most interesting, I think, coming into 2026 are Josh Gibcus and Noah Bolter. I think on talent alone, they are the two best defenders or key position defenders that Richmond have available. The other one there would be Ben Miller, and perhaps there is an argument that he's a safer option, but I think on quality, these two guys do give you a little bit more. They have a little bit more athleticism, a little bit more sort of, dogged defensive nature, but they do have just another level with ball in hand to be able to go. Like you can see Bolter, he can come up, he can play on a wing, he can play as a key position forward as well. There's just a little bit more avenue for somebody like a Bolter. But the issue with these two guys is Gibcus has played 3 games in about 2 years, and Noah Bolter had all the issues that he had in 2025. And let's be honest, he had a bit of a nightmare last season. He just couldn't really get any continuity with the, what was it? It was like the, what sanctioning thing? What did he have? what was it? Curfew, sorry. So he had the curfew, didn't play consistent games. When he did play, he just looked a little bit lost out there. His head wasn't really in the game. So he needs a big season, but so does Josh Gibcus, because he cannot have another injury-plagued year for me, I feel. Needs to get into this side. He needs to really lock down the spot, and he's going to do that by playing consistently, and I think he can do this if his body lets him. That really gives you the sort of defensive type players, those four there at the back in Bolter, Vlosten, Gibcus and Broad. And then you've got the two most offensive players there. And one thing you'll probably notice here is that Jaden Short is not in my Richmond Best 23 as a defender. I just think Richmond could have a season here where they go past Jaden Short a little bit. I think there's still enough maturity in this team that they don't absolutely need his experience. Luke Traynor, I think, is really going to step up in his second year. He was last year used as a more of a hybrid type lockdown defender. He only averaged around somewhere between 12 and 14 disposals. I think he can take that to a new level in 2026. He can be a bit more of a ball in hand player, run the ball out of defense, and he's such a weapon with his athleticism, his mobility. He can step in and out of traffic and hit up really important kicks as well. So I think he's going to be really important, and you can team him up alongside Sam Banks, who really made that sort of defensive distributor role his own in 2025. He can take over the work that Jaden Short has been primarily doing. To be honest, he actually matched him statistically last year anyway. He had about 450 meters gained per game, and he's that real sort of direct runner and can use his leg speed out of the back half. And I think Richmond just have more options than they did in this area, say 12 to 24 months ago. You got Tom Brown sitting there on the interchange. It's kind of arbitrary whether he's on field or he's on the interchange. I think he's going to be really important as well. We saw last year some of his chase down tackles show the competitiveness of this player, but they also show the athleticism for him to get after players. That one on Tom Gross was absolutely exceptional and team lifting. He's just such a good runner. He's got great speed and he uses the ball so well. So he can be a really offensive option as well. And you start to look at this defense for Richmond. You've got the mature players in there in Vlosten and Broad, but you've got a lot of athletic players that can lock down on those small forwards, but they can also create a headache for them going the other way. A lot to think about if you're a small forward coming up against Richmond now with all of these athletic hybrid type defenders. So I think it's really, really strong for them. We move into the midfield, and this is a place of change for me. Nankervis is the stayer. He's the old statesman, as is Taranto and Hopper. But Lawler is the blue chip here. So Lawler brings the class. He's going to play more midfield in 2025 for me, and they absolutely need him fit and firing, because you've got Taranto and Hopper, who are these older statesmen. They're really good at getting their hands on the ball, just giving that little bit of territory and that grunt, and just the size of them, the physical stature of them. They can get in there and win that contested ball. Lawler's got to be that guy that gets it, a little bit more on the outside. We know that he can go inside and break tackles and use his physicality, but he's so classy on the ball and he uses it so well. So up against those two, he really needs to be the classy guy in there that really creates for them. And then you're going to bring that speed from the outside. So we're going to have speed here coming in off the interchange and off the wings. Hugo Routhsmith is kind of a stayer on that opposite wing there to the left. I think he's just going to keep doing that. He's a real workhorse. He gets up and down the flanks and just provides an option and some athleticism there. Sam Grill, I've brought him in here on the wing and not the defense, partly because I think they've got a lot of options there, but I think he will be able to go back behind the ball at times as well. So he's not wedded to being a winger, but how exciting would it be to get Sam Grill coming into the midfield, getting the ball a little bit closer to goal and using his foot skills, but using his pace to be able to step around players and open it up around that 50 arc, I think is going to be exciting here. And the fact that you get that added flexibility that he can go inside and use his fast feet, it'll just give them something a little bit different in that midfield where you've got, Taranto, Hopper and Lawler. None of those guys are particularly quick. It's more of a strength and power midfield there. Grill offers something different, as does Sam Cumming, who is on the interchange there. He's got that speed and he's got that absolute dogged hunger just to win the football. He's going to excite Richmond fans in 2026 with his ferocity, his tenaciousness. He just goes so hard at the man, hard at the ball. I get Wardlaw vibes and I get Rowell vibes from him. So get excited, Richmond fans. He will give you something absolutely different. We will look at some of the rotations off the bench as well. But before I do that, I'm going to go into the forwards. Just messing up my slides a little bit here. So the forward line, I think from a tall forward line perspective, it sort of picks itself. I think Lynch has to be there for the experience and just that battering ram that just takes some of the contests off the likes of Armstrong and Fall. We know what Jonty Fall can do. He's an absolute monster in the aerial contests. He runs and runs and runs and works so hard to get the ball at ground level and in the air. So he's a real threat from both of those sources, and he brings other guys into the game. So Richmond have a real player here in Jonty Fall for me. He's not the cleanest marker compared to someone like a Harry Armstrong, but he's a different type. He's just a contest guy. He gets to all of the contests and brings others into the game. Armstrong's a bit of a roamer. He's a little bit different. He can get up the ground, and he's a very clean, aesthetic player, and he's a good kicking player. So if he can receive the ball around the arc, he can also be used as a bit of a distributor going inside forward 50. And where I really love this Richmond forward line particularly is the small forwards now. You're starting to get some real quality and some real class. Seth Campbell was a leading goal kicker for Richmond last year. He had a massive, massive season, and he's just so deadly when he gets the ball inside forward 50. On top of that, he gets up to contest as well, and he just gets involved in chains. He's a pretty high volume guy for someone who kicks so many goals for Richmond, and probably, I don't know where he was in their best and fairest in the end, but he certainly could have won it. Mansell is the guy that just applies pressure inside forward 50. He was a number one player at Richmond in 2025 for applying those forward 50 tackles. So he's really important, but he also kicks goals as well and has a little bit more quality. So I've opted for him over a Maurice Rioli type. That's just the way that I've gone. I know he does give you something and he's a bit of a fan favorite, but Mansell gets the tick here for me. And then you've got the creativity and the quality of Taj Houghton, who is really a midfielder in his own right and will be able to do what I said about Sam Grill with the speed and the movement, the agility. He's going to be able to step inside and give opposition mids headaches. But he gets to the contest, he's going to get up the ground, use his running ability, he is a midfielder after all, and get back to goal and just be an absolute nightmare with that speed and class in front of goal. Seb Ross is off the bench. I think he is just that hard-working sort of forward mid type, isn't he? He's got a little bit more power to him than some of these other guys. He's got the maturity of being around for a little bit longer. He can step into the midfield and he can play as a bit of a target forward as well. So I think Ross is going to be really important here. When you do look at it, other than Tom Lynch on field there, they're all quite young guys. So having Ross's maturity there and having him as an extra midfielder will be really, really important as well. And you look at these guys, I mean, Mansell, Ross, Jonty Fall, and even Seth Campbell to some degree are really just creating space for some of those more dangerous players. Sam Lawler's going to get forward. Taj Houghton's going to get forward. Sam Cumming's going to get forward. And a lot of those players have ground level and aerial ability with Lawler and Cumming as well. So starting to become a real nightmare matchup for some of those teams. It's all just about, for these younger guys for Richmond, just getting games into them so that they can play at that level consistently. We've seen what Sam Lawler can already do, but he's got to be able to play a 21, 22, 23 game season to really show that consistently for the Tigers. And there is the interchange. I've gone over most of these players there. Tom Brown as the defensive interchange player, Sam Cumming as the mid, Ross as the forward player, and then you've got Prestia there as that sort of just extra midfielder and really just a calm head. I think his 2025 season was pretty underrated overall. He's still a really good ball winner, someone that gets involved in plenty of chains and uses the ball really, really well. And Thomas Sims is the other one, just because I feel that Nankervis will need a bit of a chop out. He's getting on a little bit now. So Thomas Sims gives that extra ruck option, and he's someone that can also play as a forward. He's a really good runner, covers the ground well. So with having that extra interchange option open, you do just get a little bit more from him there in Sims. I mean, you don't get any more interchanges to use, so there's not necessarily a need to run an extra running player, but Sims will be good here, I feel. And then we've got the others, and there's probably some controversial ones here. I think, Jaden Short is unlucky to miss out, and he's been a mainstay in this team for many years, but I just think he probably lacks a little bit of defensive accountability. He does make some mistakes on the ball. And I think overall, if all of those other leadership type players are there for the Tigers in the back line, you don't necessarily need a player like Jaden Short there anyway. And I think those other sort of medium hybrid type defenders in Tom Brown and Luke Traynor and these types of guys are probably more important. Even Sam Banks there as another one, a smaller running type defender. Steely Green is absolutely unlucky to miss this team, but when you got Mansell, you got Campbell, you got Ross, and you got Taj Houghton now, who's probably going to at least be looking to play a full season this year. He probably just misses out, but will get opportunity through injury, no doubt. Lafayette, I really strongly considered just because of how much of a system player he is. He's a more of a power and speed type forward, so he can create a different sort of headache compared to someone like an Armstrong, who is not quite as quick, but has that more endurance base to him and clean skills. But Lafayette is a bit more bash and crash and powerful. So I considered that, and I think he will be considered when he is fully fit and back off that. I think it was a knee injury last year that he was still suffering from. So he'll be an interesting selection question. Miller's another one that probably gives you a little bit more consistency in defense when you're looking at, Gibkiss and Bolter. And there's still a bit of an unknown there and a bit of a risk there with those guys. So he's an option. Josh Smiley just can't seem to get himself fit at the moment. And even when you think about bringing him into the team, it feels like there's a bit of unbalance there as well with Taranto, Hopper. You've got Lawler, who's just an obvious starter there. Where does Smiley fit into this team? He's a really good user of the ball, and his main strength is his size, but I'm not sure if he offers enough sort of speed and power to his game to go up against some of these other guys. So that will be a watch for me. Caleb Smith doesn't quite get in as a running defender. I just think they have better options. Pretty much what I said about Jaden Short. Rioli, I sort of opted for Mansell, and I don't think he can carry too many of these small forwards who don't hit the scoreboard often. Rioli's a great tackler, and he applies a lot of pressure and brings energy, but that's probably about it at the moment, and would have to add more score involvements and more goals to get him consistently into this team. Campbell Gray, I absolutely loved what I saw of him last year, but he didn't play enough games, and it's difficult to see him usurping some of those other taller guys at the back when you've got, as I said, Trainer and these hybrids coming in as well. So Gray just missed out for me, but I think he's going to be in and about selection. Jasper Alger is another one. He's more of just Alger. He's just a difficult type to pin down to a position. Is he a sort of a hybrid type forward, almost third tall, medium type? Can he go into the midfield? Could he play wing? Something like that. Not too sure on Alger at this stage, but I really do like some of the attributes that he has. And the big one here, and the two at the bottom here, I've got Piker and Rechko. I could absolutely see Rechko getting a spot on a wing at some point for Richmond this season. I don't think he'd play across half back or anything like that. He's more of a ball winner and someone that can just run and run all day and be an option. So I think he comes in, particularly if someone like Ralph Smith picked up an injury early, I think he would be absolutely in there on a wing. And Zane Piker, there is a chance here. I think he is a chance to cover someone like a Mansell if there is an injury early. I think he's a perfect system player. He's got really, really good speed and good running ability overall, which I think he will definitely start in the VFL. But if options open, expect Piker to come in as a really good system forward. And they're starting to build out that forward line now. As I said, the quality of small forward and the depth of small forward is becoming a real strength area for Richmond, which I don't think you would have said 2 to 3 years ago. So what are some realistic expectations for the Tigers? Now, I do find it difficult to see any of those teams that were, consolidated down in the bottom 4 last season getting too far out of that, but there is that little dangling carrot now of a top 10 finish. Obviously gives you that wild card spot. I do think that is going to help some of the bottom teams just have a realistic goal and possibility to be able to make the finals. So we'll see in 2026 how much of an effect that has. Ultimately for the Tigers, I think it's going to come down to this team just having one more year together of connection, bringing a few new faces into the club, but also those 2024 draftees. Remember, there were, 7 or 8 first rounders. Those guys are going to have another season together. They're going to know each other a little bit better and be starting to gel with the older guys as well. And that sort of, I guess, holistic development will be a big part of this. I think Adam Uze has already shown himself to be an excellent coach and really just needs time with this group, and they probably they are going to start to need those wins on the board just to give themselves a little bit of nourishment through wins and a bit of success together so that they can kind of, have the goals to go to that next level. The AFL draw can be fickle, and if you get a decent sort of a run on early, you can get a higher ladder finishing position. But I would still have to say that Richmond will be in that bottom 4 or bottom 5 teams as a realistic expectation for 2026. So that is a wrap, guys, for my Richmond best 23. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. How many of those do you agree with? Do you think I'm gone crazy on the Jaden Short one? I think there'll be a few pointers thrown at me there. Let me know what you think anyway, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. There's still plenty of people viewing the videos that haven't done that yet. And I'll see you guys in the next one.